Okay, Cici, really well done on this work. You're taking steps to improving your English, which is fantastic. Lots of people don't, so you should be really very proud of yourself, and you're doing just the right things. So let's have a look at your essay. So the topic about the average weight of people increasing and that their health and fitness is decreasing, and your task was to talk about what you think are the causes of these problems and what measures could be taken to solve them. All right, let's have a look at your writing then. So let's start with the introduction. In ancient times, the average height of normal people was far shorter than nowadays, but they tend to be healthier both physically and morally. In current society, we are becoming taller without doubt, but ironically, the overall condition of health and fitness is getting terrible. There are several reasons lead to this phenomenon. Okay, fantastic start. It's a good looking introduction. It's a nice length, which is good. You started off with a bit of context, which is ideal. Let's have a bit of a look at some of the bits that we can change. So in ancient times, okay. We could possibly be slightly less specific and say in the past, possibly. So in the past, the average height of people, because we've got average, we don't need to repeat normal as well. So maybe the average height of people was far shorter than nowadays, or possibly far less than nowadays as well. But the word that you're looking for here is tend, T-E-N-D, but because we're looking at the past, we need to use the past tense. So, but they tended, so T-E-N-D-E-D, tended to be healthier both physically and morally. Now, the reason I've stopped here is because of the use of morally. Because morally is talking about right and wrong, whereas we're talking here about weight of people and their health and fitness. So this word doesn't really fit here. It could be that you're looking for the word mentally, possibly, so both physically and mentally, because I've seen that later on you've mentioned depression. So it could be that the word you're looking for is mentally. Okay, in current society, we are becoming taller without doubt, but ironically, the overall condition of health and fitness is getting terrible. Okay, really good sentence. The only part is this last word here, where we should be using the overall condition of health and fitness is getting worse instead of getting terrible. Okay, getting worse. There are several reasons lead to this phenomenon. Now, first thing in this sentence is that we don't use contractions in essays. So instead of saying there are, as in a contraction with an apostrophe, we would have to write there are several reasons. Okay, so because it's formal writing, we don't use contractions, so keep those words separate. So there are several reasons. Now here, we want to use the present perfect instead of this tense here. So reasons lead to this phenomenon is not correct grammar. So instead, we want to say there are several reasons which have led to this phenomenon. Okay, which have led to this phenomenon. Okay, so moving on to the next paragraph. So with the advance of average economic standard, people are able to improve their living quality a lot. All right, I can see where you're going with this, which is good. What we could possibly say to make it easier would possibly be with the increase in income. For example, because we're talking particularly about individuals being able to live to a high quality. So with the increase in income, people are able to improve their living quality a lot. Good. For example, they can enjoy foods like gourmets and ask for best and delicate materials to cook themselves. Okay, it's a good point. We just need to change the wording slightly. So, for example, they can enjoy gourmet food or high quality food and ask for all best and delicate materials. So, and buy the best ingredients to cook with. Okay. so they can enjoy gourmet food or the best food and buy the best ingredients to cook with. Okay. Meanwhile, their attention to social activities creates opportunity to eating outside, where it may cook with unhealthy oil and a huge amount of sugar, salt, etc. Good, really good point. You've obviously thought about this a lot, which is good. So, we could say, for example, there is more focus on social activities, or there are more opportunities. There are more opportunities to eat out. So making that sentence even shorter, there are more opportunities to eat out, which may result in eating unhealthy oils and huge amounts of sugar and salt, etc. Okay, good. This directly leads to the unbalanced nutrition reception and thus leads to some diseases like obesity or liver problems. Okay, so what we want to say instead of unbalanced nutrition reception is an unbalanced diet. Okay, this directly leads to an unbalanced diet and thus leads to some diseases like obesity and liver problems, or liver problems. You could use either there. Okay, good. However, in previous times, people didn't get into the habit of eating every meal with luxurious ingredients. Okay, we can make this simpler here. So, we could say, for example, however, in the past, people didn't always eat the best ingredients. Okay, instead they just had their meals regularly and with less oil. So because we're saying they're not always eating with the best ingredients, we could say instead they just used basic ingredients and less oil. Okay, apparently the unhealthy eating habits contribute greatly to the decrease of fitness. Okay, this is a really good point. Because that one is one sentence at the end of the paragraph, it could be that you could expand slightly on that. So we've got this part a lot in there about unhealthy diets or unbalanced diets, and then suddenly we've got this bit on fitness. So my advice to you would be to develop that slightly more. Either reduce the size of the paragraph and include that part on fitness, or possibly turn that into 2 paragraphs instead. But I would make a little bit more of the fitness because that was also in the question at the beginning. Okay. The next one, apart from that, another criminal is the pressure that people nowadays are facing with. Okay, so this word criminal doesn't really fit here. We could say instead another cause of decreased health and fitness is the pressure that people nowadays are faced with, instead of facing, are faced with. Okay, and then clearly people today shoulder more responsibilities than before. Good, that's a really good phrase. They may take the roles of fathers, staff, so without an S, or to be more specific, we could say employees. Okay, fathers, employees, husbands, sons at the same time. Okay, good, okay. They have no choice but to work very hard in order to earn breads for their families. Now, this would have to be to earn money for their families. Okay, so to earn money for their families. Therefore, overload working hours and huge burdens laid on their shoulders must bring over triple pressures to them than before. Okay, so we could say instead, therefore, long working hours and huge pressures must bring over, instead of must bring over, we would most likely say must put them under more pressure than before. Okay, then I would end that sentence because it's starting to get a little bit too long. We don't want a really long winding sentence there. Okay, the last point about mental diseases like depression, we could have that in a separate sentence. Okay, so we could say, for example, a result of this could be mental diseases like depression, mental illnesses like depression, which cause people's health and fitness to decrease as well. Okay, the next part, to better the situation. Instead of better here, we want to use the word improve. So to improve the situation, the government may implement some laws to lower working times. So here we might say to reduce working hours. Okay, some laws to reduce working hours, enabling people to fully enjoy their free time. Good. Okay, so this paragraph here, although a short paragraph, is one very long sentence. So we want to break that down slightly. So to improve the situation, the government could implement some laws to reduce working hours, full stop. Okay, so we don't want a long winding sentence. We'll put a full stop there. Then we can say this would enable people to fully enjoy their free time, full stop. People could have more quality time with their families, eliminating meaningless social activities, and improving health. Okay, would be a way to have that paragraph a little bit shorter. Okay, so, or at least that sentence a little bit shorter, the paragraph the same length. Okay, it could be that you could possibly put in a good example here to show how this works. So if possibly there is a company in your country that has decided to do this, has decided to decrease their working times, if people in your country are particularly healthy and spend a lot of time with their families, you could give some examples. Okay, it's always best to include a good example in your paragraphs. So the last part is your conclusion. So to sum up, both living diets and mental pressure that people nowadays are facing with should be the main reasons. All right. Okay, so to sum up is good. So to sum up, showing that we're reaching the conclusion now. So both diet and mental pressure that people nowadays are faced with, so like before, are the main reasons of health and fitness decreasing. Okay. However, that situation could be handled more wisely with improving both the conscious of authorities and humans themselves. Okay, so however, that situation could be handled more wisely. Instead of could be handled more wisely, I would say we'd probably use that situation could be improved. Okay, by generating awareness of authorities and individuals. So improving both the conscious. What we mean here is generating awareness, making people aware that they have a bad diet and need to improve their fitness. Okay, so generating awareness for authorities and individuals. By doing that, we can live our lives, because we're plural, our lives to the fullest with a really decent appearance. So instead of really decent appearance, because that's a little bit vague, we want to say something along the lines of with a healthy appearance. Okay, or a healthy and fit body, for example, we could say, linking back to the question that you were given at the beginning. Okay, really well done. There are some absolute positives in here, so you've used some great phrases. I would say try not to overcomplicate your language too much by using too many alternatives to what you would normally say. We don't want to lose the important points in language that doesn't quite make sense. So keep your sentences slightly shorter, okay? And try and keep to the vocabulary that you are aware of that always links back to that question to make it really clear. But really well done. Great work. Progressing really well.